Hello and welcome to Sleepy English. In this episode, I have something special for you. We're going to learn and practice English with a story. Don't worry, we won't read a whole book. This is a short, simple retelling made for language learners. Today's story is Treasure Island. I'll tell it slowly and clearly, so you can listen and follow along. First, you'll hear the story in easy English. Next, we'll add gentle details to help the pictures in your mind grow stronger. Finally, a calm closing will help you keep a clear memory of the tale. Get comfortable. This is Treasure Island, told for English learners. A long time ago, in a quiet seaside village, there was a small inn called the Admiral Benbow. A boy named Tom lived there with his mother and father. Life was calm and simple. Travellers came and went. Waves touched the beach. Oil lamps glowed at night. Nothing exciting happened until one day. Everything changed. An old sailor arrived at the inn. He was tall and strong, with a rough look and a long scar across his face. His voice was low, and his eyes were sharp and worried. Each morning he climbed the hill by the water with a telescope and stared at the horizon, as if he was waiting for someone or hiding from someone. He drank too much rum and sang old sea songs that made guests uneasy. He called himself Captain Bill. He gave Tom a silver coin each month to keep watch for a sailor with one leg. Tom did not understand the full story, but he felt the fear behind it. One day, a blind man came to the door. People called him the blind man, and his voice was cold. He pressed a small round paper into Bill's hand, the black spot, a pirate sign that means danger and judgment. Bill turned pale. Moments later, he collapsed. His heart gave out, and he died there in the inn. After Bill's death, Tom and his mother opened the sailor's sea chest to collect money he owed for his room. Inside, they found coins from many places, heavy gold, thin silver, dull copper. Under the coins lay something more important, a map. It showed a far island and a mark where the famous pirate Captain Flint had hidden a great treasure. Tom carried the map to Dr. Henry, a kind and wise doctor, and to Mr. George, a wealthy landowner. They decided to sail for the treasure and share it fairly. They travelled to the port city to prepare a ship named the Hispaniola. The docks were busy, ropes coiled on the ground, barrels rolling, sailors shouting across the water. The Hispaniola was solid and clean, ready for a long voyage. Captain Clark would lead the journey. He was strict but fair and honest, and from the first day he warned that the crew felt strange. Tom joined as a cabin boy. The smell of tar and salt filled the air. The deck moved under his feet. He felt proud and nervous at the same time. One of the crew was a cook named Mr. Silver. He had one leg and moved quickly on a wooden crutch. A green parrot sat on his shoulder and cried, "Pieces of 8! Pieces of 8!" Silver told funny sea stories. He smiled often and spoke gently. People trusted him, and he seemed to know everyone in the harbour. But a different face hid behind that smile. Days passed at sea. The sun rose from a silver line and sank into red water. Wind filled the sails. The ship leaned and raced. At night the stars looked close. Then one afternoon, Tom hid inside an apple barrel on deck. he heard Silver whispering with other sailors. Silver and many crewmen were pirates. Their plan was simple: wait until the treasure was found, then take over the ship and keep the gold. Tom's heart beat fast, but he stayed quiet. Later, he told Captain Clark and the loyal men. Now they knew the truth, and they made a careful plan to protect themselves. After weeks at sea, the Hispaniola reached Treasure Island. The island was green and wild, thick trees, sharp rocks, soft sand, and hidden caves. Hot air held the smell of leaves and salt. It looked peaceful, but danger waited there. Some crew went ashore at once. Tom went with them, then walked away into the forest where the light was green and the ground was soft and damp. There he met a thin, sunburned man named Ben. Ben had once sailed with pirates, but they had left him on the island 3 years before. He had survived on fruit and goats and had made clothes from old sails. His voice jumped from fast to slow. His eyes were bright. He told Tom a secret. He had already found Captain Flint's treasure and moved it to a safe cave. He would help Tom and the honest men if they promised to take him home. Meanwhile, trouble grew. Silver and his pirates seized control of the ship and demanded the treasure map. Captain Clark, Dr. Henry, Mr. George, and the loyal crew moved into an old stockade, a wooden house with a fence, to defend themselves. They carried water, food, and powder. They checked the walls and windows and set watches through the night. Soon the fighting began. The pirates attacked with guns and swords. Smoke drifted between the trees. Shots cracked and echoed. The loyal men held their ground and would not give up the map. On the water's edge, a small round boat, the coracle, waited half hidden among reeds. Tom took a brave risk. He pushed the coracle into the dark sea and paddled to the Hispaniola at night. The waves slapped the side of the tiny boat. The mast of the big ship rose like a black line against the sky. On board, he met a fierce pirate and fought for his life. He won, breathing hard, hands shaking. He cut the anchor line, turned the wheel, and guided the ship to a quiet cove far from the mutineers. Dawn came pale and silent. Tom's clothes were wet. His face felt older. He returned to the stockade and told his friends what had happened. Silver tried to speak soft words again. He carried a white flag and offered peace when it helped him. But trust was broken and could not be fixed. At last, using the map, the pirates marched to the place where they believed the treasure lay. They dug and dug. The shovel struck wood. The hole was empty. The treasure was gone. Voices rose. Fear and anger spread. They did not know that Ben had moved the treasure earlier and hidden it in a cave. The pirates argued and split. Some ran into the forest and never returned. Others dropped their guns and asked for mercy. The loyal men followed Ben through a narrow path to the cave. There stood the real prize, chests of gold and silver, jewels and coins from many lands. The chests were heavy, the coins were cold and bright in the half-dark. There was so much that they needed many trips to carry it to the ship. A few pirates were left behind. Some had died, others escaped. Mr. Silver stayed with the group for a time. He helped when it was safe for him, and he kept his smile ready like a tool. One quiet night, He slipped away with a small bag of gold and disappeared into the dark, leaving only the parrot's echo in the trees. The Hispaniola sailed back to England. The sails were full. The wind was kind. Seabirds followed the wake like white arrows. Tom stood by the rail and watched the water change from deep blue to grey-green as the ship neared home. He and his friends were safe and rich, but Tom felt changed. He had seen danger and greed. He had also seen courage, friendship, and loyalty. The boy who left the inn had returned older and wiser. The adventure was finished, but the lessons stayed. In the port city, news travelled faster than the wind. A single careless word about a map could bring the wrong men to the right ship. On deck, every job had a rhythm: hauling a line, mending a sail, scrubbing the boards until they shone. The crew moved together like a machine when storms rose. Then the sky opened and rain struck so hard it felt like gravel. In calmer weather, gulls cried and the sea breathed slow and deep. Small choices shaped the end as much as big battles. Dr. Henry kept order with a steady voice and clear eyes, counting supplies with care. Captain Clark stood where the danger was highest and gave short, exact commands. Mr. George learned to guard his words and trusted the right people at last. Ben, hungry for home, used patience instead of noise and changed the story with a secret. The island itself felt like a living thing. At noon it burned with heat. At sunset it turned gold and quiet. At night it whispered with leaves and distant waves. Paths crossed and crossed again. A single wrong turn could carry a man into thorns or lead him to a cliff lit by moonlight. Caves held cool air and the old smell of salt. Somewhere deeper, only crabs and time knew the history of storms and ships. Back in the village, the Admiral Benbow looked smaller than before, but warmer too. The door creaked in a friendly way. The fire welcomed tired feet. Tom's mother counted each coin with careful hands, not rushing, not dreaming too high. Riches filled the chest, but the stronger treasure was quiet wisdom. Keep good company, plan with care, and listen when your heart warns you. The sea keeps its secrets. Somewhere far away, a one-legged man might be walking down a different harbour street, smiling in the same old way, telling a new story to a new crowd. But for Tom, the map was closed, the chests were stored, and the horizon belonged to other sailors. His adventure slept, bright, heavy, and complete, like gold in the dark. And that's your story lesson for today. This is how your English grows, step by step, one story at a time. Thank you for listening to Sleepy English. See you next time.